Hello and welcome back. In the last episode, we looked at how we do brainstorming and how we start pulling ideas together. But in this episode, we'll apply a story model to take all of those ideas and turn them into a coherent narrative. Let's get started. Okay, so here we are in the writing studio. I have my notes from last time. So we're going to write a ghost story and we're looking at a big steam train. And if I bring it back down to the bottom, the next thing we're going to do is look for a story model. Now there are a few different story models you can use, but the one I prefer, the one I think is the most rewarding, is called an 8-point arc. And what this is every good story has 8 particular moments or 8 points. So the first is a stasis. This is how things are. There are characters and this is how they live. But that leads on to a trigger. A trigger is something happens to drive the drama forward. That leads on to a quest. So now there's been a trigger, something's happened. Now we have to go and do something to fix it and put it right. And that will lead to a discovery. We're going to find something. And that might not be a good thing. We might need to do things in order to overcome it. And that leads to probably the most important one, which is critical choice, or sometimes you see it as crisis. Often in films you'll see a crisis, where in literature it's quite common to have a choice, a very difficult choice that a character has to make. And that will then lead on to the climax. This is where you have your big explosions and your car chases and gunfights and bank robberies, and or if it's a drama, this is where it gets really heightened. And then from there, that would feel like the end of the story, but there are 2 important components we need to put on. The first is called a reversal. And a reversal is where we change things from the beginning. So if people were poor and dying of poverty at the beginning in your stasis, at the end we might want to have reversed that, and now they're full of wealth and riches. And the final one is the conclusion. And in the conclusion is important because people need an opportunity to feel as though they're saying goodbye to the characters. You can't just finish it. You need to have a way to close it out. Now, to show this, with my own students, what I show them is Back to the Future, the old movie from 1985, because it is the most perfect 8-point arc I have ever seen. And I really recommend that you study this. But just to illustrate, I'm going to show you the 8 points in Back to the Future. So in Back to the Future, the film begins with Marty McFly. He's kind of a kid with no confidence. He has trouble at school. He has trouble at home because his father's very weak. His father is still being bullied by the man who used to bully him at high school. His mother is overweight and miserable, and this is his stasis. But then a trigger happens. He has a friend called Doc Brown who has invented a time machine. But when they come under attack, the Doc is shot and killed, and Marty escapes in the time machine, accidentally transporting himself to 1955. This leads on to a quest, and his quest is in the title. He has to get back to the future. To do this, they have to get a bolt of lightning to be channeled into the time machine to give it enough power, and they know when that will happen. But he makes a discovery. It turns out his mother has now fallen in love with him instead of his father. So he's really got to get them together, otherwise he'll never exist. And this leads on to our crisis. And the crisis is getting his parents together because things start going wrong. Biff, the school bully, is stopping his father. The lead guitarist for the band injures his hand and can't play. Somehow Marty has to overcome all of these things and take him then finally to his climax, which is to be in the time machine at the same time that a bolt of lightning hits the clock tower. From there we go to the reversal. Marty gets back to 1985, but the Doc has been shot. Now he's wearing a bulletproof vest because Marty was able to give him a message from the past. And when he goes home, Biff the bully is now polishing their car, his father is a published author, and his mother is sporty and athletic and has lost lots of weight. And finally we have that conclusion, a way to say goodbye to the characters. And if for this, the Doc reappears in the time machine and says, "Marty, you've got to come back with me. Back to the Future." It's a really wonderful way to close out the film. So now you've seen how an 8-point arc works, we can now apply that to some of the ideas that we've created. So if I come back to the writing studio, we have a stasis now. We had a man and his wife had run out and got onto the steam train. So he is going to be, let's say he's our hero. The hero is despondent after his wife has vanished on a steam train, on a ghost train. And we'll probably put in a prologue of the wife disappearing. So I actually put that there just as a prologue. Wife disappears, and then the hero is despondent. So that's the stasis. Then there's a trigger. Somehow the hero has to find a way to chase the ghost train, or realize there's a way to explore. So the hero discovers a method to chase the ghost train. And then there's a quest. He's out looking for his wife. The hero sets out to board the train and find his wife. That's going to lead to a discovery. Now, what could happen on this train? What supernatural thing? I've got a feeling that what it should be, I mentioned earlier that there is a man who is like the engineer who created it, and a little boy on fire. And when I thought about it, I thought maybe that little boy is his son, and his son died in a fire, or his son died in some way, and he has used some kind of supernatural method to take people to hell. And whilst he's taking them, for every time he takes somebody, he gets to spend time with his son. And that's going to be the discovery. So we put hero discovers the creator of the train lost it. Let's put lost his son in a fire, and now takes fresh souls to hell in exchange for time with his son. Now that's going to lead to a critical choice. So let's say, or a crisis, let's say, should he get on? Should the hero board the train? So the climax is he boards the train, and does he find his wife? Maybe, yes, no. Let's just say he boards the train and confronts the engineer. And the reversal, well, the mystery was going to be solved, but we don't quite know what the mystery is yet. Is he going to find his wife? Is she gone forever? Is he now gone forever? We just don't know. But we'll come to that, because later on we'll look at how do we develop this further. The point at the moment is just to try and find that very basic story model. At the conclusion, we know that in this case it's a horror. We know that it's kind of a down ending or a sad ending, that he may survive, he may not survive, but he won't find his wife, and he'll discover that the answers he was looking for weren't the answers that he wanted. So let's just put he won't find his wife. But we'll learn the shocking truth of what happened to her. And the horror, we called it the Obsidian. And maybe this train will continue out, keep picking people up, and it will continue. But that's a nice way to put the story. So from there, we'll now look at it a little bit more, think a little bit deeper, and try and find a way to grow it. So in the next episode, I'll look a little bit at characters, and let's see about how do you create interesting characters that would fit into this story. We'll see you next time.